The Helios drifted silently through the Oort cloud, its quantum-dampened hull absorbing every stray photon. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's panoramic viewport, watching the last traces of her home system fade into the cosmic background. 20 years of preparation had led to this moment, and now Earth's greatest secret was finally ready to reveal itself to the galaxy. "Final systems check complete," reported Lieutenant Marcus Wong, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Quantum core stable at 98% efficiency." Chen nodded, her weathered face reflecting none of the tension coiling in her stomach. The Helios represented humanity's greatest achievement, and their greatest gamble. For 3 centuries, the Kracken Empire had dismissed Earth as another primitive world, barely worth the energy spent on their periodic surveys. Their crystalline vessels would appear in the solar system every few decades, scan the planet, and disappear again, leaving behind patronizing reports about humanity's quaint technological progress. What the Krackens never realized was that humans had been watching them back. "Status of the reverse-engineered stealth systems?" Chen asked, turning to face her crew. The bridge hummed with nervous energy as dozens of Earth's finest personnel monitored their stations. Each had been chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to think beyond conventional boundaries. "Operating beyond projected parameters," replied Dr. Amara Patel, the ship's chief engineer. Her dark eyes gleamed with pride as she pulled up a technical overlay. "The crystalline matrix we developed based on their hull fragments is actually more efficient than their original design. Turns out their rigid thinking limited their innovation." That was humanity's true advantage. While the Krackens had stagnated, content in their supposed superiority, humanity had taken their every passing observation as an opportunity. Each scan of Earth's surface had been analyzed and reverse-engineered. Every piece of debris from their ships had been studied and reconstructed in secret facilities buried deep beneath the lunar surface. The result was the Helios, a warship that incorporated the best of both worlds, enhanced by humanity's unique approach to warfare and technology. Its quantum core was based on stolen Kracken principles, but human engineers had pushed those principles far beyond what the aliens had thought possible. The crystalline hull matrix was inspired by Kracken technology, but redesigned from the ground up with human adaptability in mind. "Message from Command," announced Communications Officer Jai Park. "Operation Daybreak is confirmed. We have authorization to proceed." Chen took her command chair, feeling the subtle vibration of the quantum drive reaching full power. "Plot a course for the Kracken home system. It's time they learned that humanity is more than they imagined." The massive ship began to move, its engines barely a whisper in the void. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, each movement precise and purposeful. They had trained for years in absolute secrecy, representing not just their individual nations, but humanity as a whole. "Quantum tunnel forming," Wong reported, his voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. "Calculations indicate we'll emerge directly in their home system, just outside their inner defense perimeter." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Krackens believed their quantum detection grid was impenetrable, just as they believed their technological superiority was absolute. They were about to learn several harsh lessons about human ingenuity. "Senior staff to the briefing room," Chen ordered, rising from her chair. "It's time to review our first contact protocols." Minutes later, Chen stood before her assembled command staff in the secure briefing chamber. Holographic displays showed detailed maps of Kracken space, based on decades of careful observation and analysis. "For 300 years," she began, "the Kracken Empire has viewed Earth as nothing more than a curiosity, a primitive world to be studied and eventually absorbed into their dominion. Their anthropological reports describe us as savage yet potentially trainable, noting our tendency for conflict as a sign of our inferior nature." The assembled officers shifted in their seats, years of controlled anger visible in their expressions. The Krackens' patronizing attitude had become a powerful motivator for human advancement. "What they never understood," Chen continued, "was that our conflicts, our competitions, our constant drive to improve, These weren't signs of primitiveness. They were the forge that shaped us into something they couldn't comprehend. While they spent centuries perfecting what they already knew, we were constantly pushing boundaries, questioning assumptions, finding new ways to solve old problems. She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed the Helios' revolutionary systems. This ship represents everything they failed to understand about humanity. We took their perfect technology and reimagined it. We saw possibilities they never considered because they were too convinced of their own superiority. Dr. Paddle stood up, adding her expertise to the briefing. The Helios isn't just a warship, it's a proof of concept. Every system on board demonstrates our ability to take their fundamental principles and evolve them into something new. Our quantum core generates 30% more power than their most advanced designs. Our crystalline matrix adapts to damage instead of shattering. We've turned their greatest strengths into potential weaknesses. The briefing continued as the Helios hurtled through quantum space. Plans were refined, contingencies reviewed, and final preparations made. In less than 6 hours, they would arrive in Kracken space and change the galaxy forever. As the meeting concluded, Chen returned to the bridge, where the quantum tunnel's swirling energies cast ethereal patterns across the viewport. She thought about all the humans who had contributed to this moment. The scientists who had worked in secret for decades, the intelligence operators who had pieced together Kracken technology from scattered fragments, the politicians who had maintained the facade of a divided, primitive Earth while secretly uniting humanity behind this single purpose. "We're approaching the emergence point," Wang announced, breaking into her thoughts. "Quantum tunnel collapse in 3 minutes." Chen straightened in her command chair. "All hands to battle stations. Prepare for emergence operation. Let's show the galaxy exactly what humanity can do." The Helios surged forward, carrying with it humanity's future among the stars. The age of pretending to be primitive was over. The time had come to demonstrate that humanity wouldn't be content with a subordinate role in galactic society. They would forge their own path on their own terms, and the Kracken Empire was about to learn just how dangerous it was to underestimate human potential. The Kracken home system was a testament to 3 millennia of uncontested dominion. Crystalline megastructures orbited their azure sun like frozen fractals, while automated defense platforms maintained a protective web that had never been breached. Until now. The Helios materialized inside their innermost defense perimeter, its quantum transition leaving behind a cascade of exotic particles that their sensors couldn't process. For several crucial seconds, the Kracken defense grid registered nothing but scattered energy readings, their computers unable to classify the anomaly. "Multiple defense platforms are attempting to acquire weapons lock," Wang reported, his fingers flying across his console. "Their targeting systems can't seem to get a clear read on our crystalline matrix." Captain Chen watched the Kracken reaction unfold through their own communications networks. The ship's quantum processors easily broke through their encryption, giving humanity a front-row seat to their enemies' confusion. "They're still trying to classify us as a sensor malfunction," she noted, satisfaction evident in her voice. Dr. Patel's voice came through the bridge speakers. "The crystalline matrix is performing perfectly. Their scanning beams are being reflected and scattered in ways their systems were never programmed to handle. We're essentially a ghost in their perfect machine." The first signs of panic began to ripple through Kracken space. Emergency alerts blared across their networks as their high command struggled to comprehend the impossible. An unknown vessel, more advanced than anything in their fleet, sitting unchallenged in the heart of their empire. "Incoming transmission," announced Park. "The Kracken High Command is demanding our immediate identification and surrender." Chen straightened in her command chair. "Put them through. Let's introduce ourselves properly." The holographic display materialized, showing the first speaker of the Kracken Empire. The alien's crystalline form towered over its subordinates, its faceted surface refracting light in complex patterns that indicated extreme agitation. "Unknown vessel," the first speaker's translated voice carried the weight of assumed authority. "You have committed an act of war by breaching our sovereign space. Identify yourself and prepare to be boarded. Chen's response was measured, calm. First speaker, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Helios. We've come to discuss humanity's place in the galaxy. The crystalline being's surface flickered with patterns that the ship's translation software identified as disbelief and contempt. Earth, the primitive world. Impossible. Your species was barely capable of reaching your own moon when we last surveyed your system. The Kracken home system was a testament to 3 millennia of uncontested dominion. Crystalline megastructures orbited their azure sun like frozen fractals, while automated defense platforms maintained a protective web that had never been breached. Until now, the Helios materialized inside their innermost defense perimeter, its quantum transition leaving behind a cascade of exotic particles that their sensors couldn't process. For several crucial seconds, the Kracken defense grid registered nothing but scattered energy readings, their computers unable to classify the anomaly. Multiple defense platforms are attempting to acquire weapons lock, Wong reported, his fingers flying across his console. Their targeting systems can't seem to get a clear read on our crystalline matrix. Captain Chen watched the Kracken reaction unfold through their own communications networks. The ship's quantum processors easily broke through their encryption, giving humanity a front-row seat to their enemies' confusion. They're still trying to classify us as a sensor malfunction, she noted, satisfaction evident in her voice. Dr. Patel's voice came through the bridge speakers. The crystalline matrix is performing perfectly. Their scanning beams are being reflected and scattered in ways their systems were never programmed to handle. We're essentially a ghost in their perfect machine. The first signs of panic began to ripple through Kracken space. Emergency alerts blared across their networks as their high command struggled to comprehend the impossible. An unknown vessel, more advanced than anything in their fleet, sitting unchallenged in the heart of their empire. Incoming transmission, announced Park. The Kracken High Command is demanding our immediate identification and surrender. Chen straightened in her command chair. Put them through. Let's introduce ourselves properly. The holographic display materialized, showing the first speaker of the Kracken Empire. The alien's crystalline form towered over its subordinates, its faceted surface refracting light in complex patterns that indicated extreme agitation. Unknown vessel, the first speaker's translated voice carried the weight of assumed authority. You have committed an act of war by breaching our sovereign space. Identify yourself and prepare to be boarded. Chen's response was measured, calm. First speaker, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Helios. We've come to discuss humanity's place in the galaxy. The crystalline being's surface flickered with patterns that the ship's translation software identified as disbelief and contempt. Earth, the primitive world. Impossible. Your species was barely capable of reaching your own moon when we last surveyed your system. That's precisely why we're here, Chen replied. For centuries, you've watched us, believing yourselves superior, never imagining that we could see you too. Every scan you made of Earth gave us more data about your technology. Every dismissive report you filed about our primitive nature allowed us to work in secret, undisturbed. The first speaker's crystalline form pulsed with angry light. You dare to suggest that you've stolen our sacred technology. This is blasphemy. Defense Fleet, eliminate this aberration. Dozens of Kracken warships began emerging from quantum space around the Helios, their crystalline hulls forming deadly geometric patterns. Chen had expected this reaction. The Kracken's rigid society couldn't accept that their carefully maintained hierarchy could be disrupted. 3 days after the Helios demonstration, the galaxy was in turmoil. News of humanity's dramatic emergence had spread through quantum channels, sending shockwaves through every major civilization. The Kracken Empire's reputation for invincibility lay in ruins, and their crystalline vessels now patrolled their borders in groups, afraid of meeting another human ship. Captain Chen stood in the Helios' tactical center, studying the holographic display of gathering Kracken forces. Their enemies had spent the past 72 hours marshaling the largest fleet seen in a millennium. Over 3,000 warships drawn from every corner of their empire. They're really going all in, Dr. Patel observed, manipulating the display to highlight the enemy fleet's energy signatures. But look at these readings. They're attempting to modify their crystalline matrices to resist our quantum resonance weapon. Can they succeed? Chen asked, though she already suspected the answer. The Kraksen's rigid thinking was both their greatest strength and their fatal weakness. They're trying to reinforce their existing technology instead of fundamentally rethinking it, Paddle replied, shaking her head. They're still trapped in their traditional paradigms, but we should expect some resistance to our initial tactics. Lieutenant Wang's voice came through the comm system. Captain, we're detecting quantum tunnel formations. Multiple signatures, not just Kracken. Other species are sending observer ships. Chen had anticipated this. The Helios' triumph over the supposedly invincible Kracken Empire had attracted attention from every spacefaring race. The balance of power that had stood for millennia was crumbling, and everyone wanted to witness what came next. Incoming transmission from Earth Command, Park announced. Admiral Hassan is requesting an update. A holographic display shifted, showing the weathered face of Admiral Yasmin Hassan, the architect of humanity's emergent strategy. Captain Chen, the other Phase 2 ships are ready. The Prometheus, Hyperion, and Athena can deploy within 6 hours. Chen nodded. The Helios had never been meant to stand alone. Even now, 3 more ships of her class were preparing to leave their secret construction base beneath the lunar surface. Each incorporated improvements based on the data gathered during the first engagement. The Krackens are preparing a major offensive, Chen reported. They've gathered their entire primary fleet, but they're not the only ones watching us now. We've confirmed observer vessels from at least 6 other major civilizations. Hassan's expression remained neutral, but her eyes gleamed. Perfect. Everything is proceeding according to the psychological profile our xenologists prepared. The Krackens are predictably responding with overwhelming force, while the other powers wait to see if we've truly broken their dominance. The tactical display suddenly flashed red. Multiple quantum tunnel collapses detected. Wang's voice was urgent. The Kracken fleet is emerging. They'd brought everything they have. Chen turned back to Admiral Hassan's hologram. Looks like we're about to begin Phase 2. Request permission to execute Operation Shattered Mirror. Granted, Hassan replied firmly. Show them what humanity can really do. Hassan out. The space around the Helios erupted with quantum distortions as the massive Kracken fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Their crystalline ships formed perfect geometric patterns, a display of power meant to intimidate. In the distance, observer vessels from other civilizations maintained a safe distance, their sensors recording everything. The first speaker is broadcasting on all frequencies, Park reported. They're demanding our immediate surrender, claiming our previous victory was a fluke that won't be repeated. Chen took her command chair, feeling the subtle vibration of the Helios' quantum core powering up. Let's show them how wrong they are. Execute Operation Shattered Mirror. Full deployment. The Helios' crystalline matrix began to shift, but this time it didn't just create a reflective surface. Instead, it fractured into thousands of smaller surfaces, each one capable of operating independently. The modification had been inspired by Earth's insect eyes, allowing the ship to process and respond to threats from every direction simultaneously. Enemy fleet is opening fire, Wang reported calmly. Multiple energy weapon signatures detected. The Kracken attack struck the Helios' fractured surface and scattered, splitting into thousands of smaller beams that shot off in every direction. Some struck other Kracken ships, while others dissipated harmlessly into space. Not a single shot managed to penetrate the human vessel's defenses. Their fleet is adjusting tactics, Wang continued. They're attempting to coordinate their fire to overwhelm our defensive matrix. Chen smiled. Just as we expected. Dr. Patel, initiate the quantum cascade. Deep within the Helios, the quantum core began generating a new form of energy, one that human scientists had discovered by pushing Kracken principles beyond their intended limits. The cascade effect began small, a tiny ripple in space-time that the Kracken sensors barely registered. Then it grew. The ripple became a wave, then a tsunami of quantum distortions that swept through the enemy fleet. Ships caught in its path found their own quantum cores going haywire, their carefully regulated energy systems spinning out of control. Crystalline hulls cracked as power surges overwhelmed their structural integrity. Quantum cascade achieving desired effect, Paddle reported from engineering. Their fleet's formation is breaking down. Their rigid command structure can't handle this level of chaos. Observer vessels from other civilizations moved closer, their sensors drinking in every detail of humanity's revolutionary technology. The message was clear. The galaxy's balance of power wasn't just shifting, it was being completely rewritten. Multiple Kracken vessels are attempting emergency quantum jumps, Wang announced. Their coordination is completely broken. The first speaker's transmission cut through the chaos, their crystalline form showing visible signs of stress. This is impossible. You cannot defeat the combined might of our empire. We have ruled the stars for 3,000 years. That's precisely your problem, Chen replied calmly. You stopped evolving, stopped innovating, became trapped in your own perceived perfection. Humanity never had that luxury. We had to keep pushing boundaries, keep finding new solutions, keep adapting. As if to emphasize her point, 3 new quantum tunnels suddenly formed behind the Helios. The Prometheus, Hyperion, and Athena emerged, their improved crystalline matrices already deploying into combat formation. Each ship incorporated lessons learned from the Helios' first engagement, representing humanity's continuous drive to improve and adapt. The Kracken fleet's perfect formation had devolved into chaos. Ships collided as they tried to retreat, their rigid tactics falling apart in the face of humanity's unpredictable assault. The observer vessels moved even closer, their crews undoubtedly reporting every detail to their respective governments. Chen opened a channel to all ships in the system. To the Kracken Empire and all observing powers, let this serve as humanity's formal introduction to galactic society. We come not as conquerors, but as equals. We offer friendship to those who respect us, and resistance to any who would try to dominate us. The quantum cascade continued its work, forcing more Kracken ships to retreat or risk total destruction. Their once mighty armada was being dismantled not through brute force, but through the application of innovative thinking and advanced understanding of their own technology. The age of Kracken dominance was ending, and every observer in the system knew it. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage, not with mere violence, but with a demonstration of intellectual and technological superiority that couldn't be ignored. The galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic conclave hadn't been convened in over 500 years. Yet here they were, representatives from every major spacefaring civilization, gathered in the neutral space of the Ancient One's abandoned station. The massive crystalline chamber hummed with tension as Captain Chen stood before them, the sole human representative in a sea of alien faces. The Helios maintained station outside, its presence a constant reminder of humanity's newfound power. Through the chamber's transparent walls, Chen could see dozens of diplomatic vessels arranged in a careful pattern that reflected centuries-old hierarchies that humanity had just shattered. The humans have upset the natural order, declared the Kracken first speaker, their crystalline forms still showing stress fractures from recent battles. They hid their true nature, stole our sacred technology, and now threaten the stability of the galaxy. Did we? Chen's voice carried clearly through the chamber's perfect acoustics. Or did we simply refuse to accept your arbitrary definition of the natural order? For centuries, your empire has claimed technological and cultural superiority, while stifling innovation and crushing independent development. The Valeri representative, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell, moved forward. The human speaks truth we have long ignored. The Kracken Empire's dominance has led to stagnation. We have all accepted their authority out of tradition rather than merit. Tradition maintains order. The first speaker's surface pulsed with angry light. Without our guidance, the galaxy would descend into chaos. Would it? Chen gestured to the holographic display showing recordings from the recent battles. Look at what humanity achieved in mere centuries, working in secret with limited resources. Imagine what other species might accomplish if freed from your artificial constraints. The chamber erupted in multilingual debate. The Meridian Collective, a species of crystalline beings different from but related to the Kraxens, raised their voices in support of tradition. The Zenth Republic, organic beings who had long chafed under Kraxen dominance, argued for change. Admiral Hassan's voice came through Chen's secure earpiece. Perfect. The psychological models predicted this exact response. The galaxy's power structure was more fragile than the Kraxens realized. Keep pushing. Chen stepped forward again, waiting for the chamber to quiet. Humanity doesn't seek to replace the Kraxen Empire as galactic rulers. We propose something more revolutionary, a true alliance of equals, where innovation is encouraged rather than suppressed. Impossible, the first speaker declared. Your species is too young, too volatile. Your history is filled with conflict and chaos. Yes, Chen agreed, surprising the chamber into silence. We fought among ourselves. We made mistakes. We faced our own potential extinction multiple times. But each conflict forced us to adapt, to innovate, to find new solutions. Our chaos, as you call it, was the forge that shaped us into who we are. The holographic display shifted, showing the Helios's revolutionary systems. We took your basic principles and saw possibilities you never imagined. Not because we're superior, but because we had to think differently to survive. Imagine what we could all achieve if we worked together, combining different perspectives and approaches. The Valyri representative's energy form pulsed with interest. The human proposal has merit. We have data indicating 17 potential breakthrough technologies that were suppressed by Kraxen doctrine in the past century alone. Our doctrine maintains stability. The first speaker's crystalline form vibrated with rage. Without our guidance, these lesser species would destroy themselves. Lesser species, the Zenth Republic's ambassador, a towering insectoid being, clicked their mandibles in anger. Your empire has held us back, claiming protection while ensuring we remain dependent on your technology. The humans have proven your superiority was an illusion. Chen raised her hand, drawing attention back to herself. We're not here to assign blame or seek revenge. We're here to propose a new way forward. She activated a secondary holographic display, showing a new organizational structure for galactic society. Equal representation, shared research and development, cultural exchange without domination. The chamber erupted again, but this time the tone was different. Species that had been quiet before began to speak up. The Meridian Collective split from their Kraxen cousins, advocating for controlled change. The Zenth Republic offered immediate support for the human proposal. This is madness, the first speaker declared, but their voice had lost its certainty. The galaxy needs structure, hierarchy. The galaxy needs innovation, Chen countered. It needs the freedom to grow and change. Your empire brought stability, yes, but at the cost of progress. We've demonstrated what just one species could achieve when freed from those constraints. Imagine what we could all achieve together. The Valyri representative moved to the center of the chamber. I propose we put the human suggestion to a formal vote. The old systems are clearly failing. Perhaps it is time for a new approach. As the chamber descended into intense diplomatic negotiations, Chen received another message from Admiral Hassan. Phase 3 is proceeding exactly as planned. The Kraxen's support base is crumbling. Their own rigid society makes it impossible for them to adapt quickly enough to maintain control. Chen watched as alliances shifted and reformed before her eyes. Species that had been bitter rivals found common ground in their desire for independence from Kraxen doctrine. Others saw opportunities for advancement that had been denied them for centuries. The first speaker made one last attempt to maintain control. If you support this madness, we will withdraw our technology. Your civilizations depend on our guidance. No, Chen replied calmly. They don't. Humanity has already proven that your technology can be improved upon. We're prepared to share our advancements with any species that joins the new alliance. Your monopoly on progress is over. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Kracken Empire's power had always rested on their technological superiority. Now that humanity had demonstrated not only equal but superior capabilities, their entire basis for control was crumbling. One by one, representatives began to signal their support for the human proposal. The galaxy's political landscape was transforming before their eyes, not through force of arms, but through the promise of freedom and progress. As the formal votes were recorded, Chen couldn't help but smile. Humanity had achieved something far greater than military victory. They had sparked a revolution of ideas, a transformation that would reshape galactic society forever. The age of Kracken dominance was ending, and a new era of innovation and cooperation was about to begin. 1 year after the Galactic conclave, the Helios approached Earth, its crystalline matrix gleaming in the light of humanity's home star. The ship had changed during its historic mission, its adaptive systems incorporating lessons learned from countless encounters. Like humanity itself, it had grown beyond its original design. Captain Chen stood at her familiar position on the bridge, but now she wore the insignia of Earth's first galactic ambassador. The view screen showed a transformed solar system. Research stations orbited every major planet, while ships of various species moved freely through space that had once been considered primitive territory. Hard to believe how much has changed in just 1 year, Dr. Paddle remarked, joining Chen at the viewport. The engineer's innovations had become legendary throughout known space, inspiring a wave of technological revolution that was still gaining momentum. The latest reports from the Cooperative Research Initiative are incredible, Paddle continued, pulling up a holographic display. The Valyri's energy manipulation techniques combined with our quantum innovations have opened up entirely new fields of science. Even the Meridian Collective is contributing now that they're free from Kracken doctrine. The display showed projects underway throughout the galaxy. Former Kracken subject worlds had blossomed into centers of innovation, their species finally free to pursue their own paths of development. The rigid hierarchy that had stifled progress for millennia had been replaced by a network of collaboration and mutual advancement. Incoming transmission from the Kracken homeworld, Lieutenant Park announced. The Reform Council is ready for the final treaty signing. The view screen shifted to show the new Kracken leadership. Gone was the militant first speaker, replaced by a younger generation that had embraced change. Their crystalline forms now incorporated organic patterns, a visible symbol of their cultural transformation. Ambassador Chen, the Reform Council leader's translated voice, carried none of their predecessors' arrogance. We are prepared to formally join the Galactic Cooperative. Our last holdout worlds have finally accepted that the old ways cannot continue. Chen nodded diplomatically. The Kracken Empire's transition had not been entirely peaceful. Several conservative factions had attempted to maintain their traditional dominance, leading to brief but intense conflicts. Each time, they had discovered that their unchanged military tactics were no match for the rapidly evolving technologies of the new alliance. The cooperative welcomes your participation, Chen replied. Your species' experience and knowledge will be valuable additions to our shared future. The Reform leader's crystalline surface rippled with patterns that the translation software now recognized as hope and anticipation. We are learning that strength comes in many forms. Our rigid pursuit of perfection blinded us to the possibilities of change and growth. Humanity's emergence forced us to confront our own stagnation. A difficult lesson, Chen acknowledged, but one that has benefited all of us. The view screen split to show representatives from other member species. The Valyri's energy form pulsed with excitement as they reported breakthroughs in quantum physics. The Zenth Republic showcased biological engineering advances that merged organic and crystalline technologies. The Meridian Collective demonstrated new applications of adaptive materials inspired by human innovations. The latest survey data is remarkable, Wong reported from his station. Technological advancement rates across known space have increased by an average of 300% in the past year alone. The removal of Kracken restrictions has unleashed centuries of suppressed innovation. Chen studied the data with satisfaction. Humanity's emergence had done more than just break the Kracken Empire's dominion. It had fundamentally changed how species interacted and developed. The rigid hierarchies of the past had given way to a dynamic network of cooperation and exchange. "We're receiving a priority message from Earth Command," Park announced. "Admiral Hassan is requesting your presence at the inauguration of the Galactic Academy." The display shifted to show a massive structure orbiting Luna, its design incorporating architectural elements from every member species. The Academy would serve as both a research center and a symbol of the new galactic order, a place where different perspectives and approaches could combine to push the boundaries of known science. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology, Chen addressed the assembled representatives. It was our ability to adapt, to see possibilities where others saw only chaos. Now that strength has become the foundation of something greater than any one species could achieve alone. The Helios began its final approach to Earth, now just one ship among many in humanity's bustling home system. Throughout known space, the changes they had sparked continued to spread and grow. Former enemies collaborated on groundbreaking research, while ancient rivals found common ground in shared discovery. The Kracken reform leader's voice carried a note of wonder. "When your ship first appeared in our home system, we thought you came to destroy our way of life. We never imagined you would help us build something better." "That's the beauty of progress," Chen replied. "Real advancement doesn't come from destroying the old, but from transforming it into something new. Your empire maintained stability for 3,000 years. Now that stability can serve as the foundation for unprecedented growth." As the final treaties were signed and the new era officially began, Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Humanity had emerged onto the galactic stage, not just as warriors or diplomats, but as catalysts for change. Their example had shown that true strength lay not in rigid perfection, but in the ability to adapt and grow. The Helios settled into orbit around humanity's homeworld, its mission complete, but its legacy just beginning. Across the galaxy, species that had once been bound by tradition and hierarchy were discovering their own potential for innovation. The age of stagnation was over, replaced by an era of unlimited possibility. Humanity had changed the galaxy not by conquering it, but by showing it a better way forward. As Chen prepared for the Academy's inauguration ceremony, she knew that this was just the beginning. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, beckoning all species toward a future limited only by their collective imagination and will to explore.